I just need to get my shit together and actually start taking better care of this plant. I love you. I absolutely love this plant. She is absolutely begging for a bigger trellis. I really need to just sit down and take care of my Hoyas. Hello, my friends, and welcome back, or welcome if you're new here. My name is Matt. Thank you so much for joining me for this fun little hangouty type of video. I want to share with you some plants that I have really been not appreciating as of lately. Plants that are really adding something cool to my collection, but unfortunately I have been a bit of a bad plant parent and sort of neglected these plants. So I thought I should just take a couple of moments and shine an actual spotlight on these plants because they are gorgeous. And maybe, just maybe, it will actually motivate me to put some more TLC into these particular plants. Now, I'm still recovering from both my dental surgery and being sick for the past 2 weeks. So if I sound a little bit rusty or congested, I am sorry. But anyway, without further ado, grab yourself a cozy little drink, a little snack, get comfortable, maybe pull up some of your own plant chores. This is a great video to put on in the background while you're doing your own thing. And let's just get started with the first plant on my list. What a shame, a true shame that I have neglected this plant because it is truly a staple in my collection, and that is my Monstera albo. I absolutely love this plant. This has been such a huge wishlist plant of mine for years and years and years. I got this plant, I would say maybe 2 or 3 years ago. No, it must be 3 years ago now. And I have loved growing this thing. Back in my studio, this thing was actually quite massive. It was bigger than me. It had huge leaves. It was such a beautiful specimen. It still is a beautiful specimen, and I decided to chop it up completely. I decided to root some of the cuttings and grow them in semi-hydro, which is what this plant is growing in currently. And there are 2 plants in this pot. And as you can see, it is such a beautiful specimen. Like, the variegation is so well balanced, and I absolutely love the way that this specimen looks. However, upon moving here, I just didn't have a great spot for this plant. Where it ended up is living in my bedroom next to my south-facing balcony. But although it's south-facing, it's not directly in front of that window. It's kind of to the side, which means it doesn't get the best light. And that means that it's also not sizing up, which is unfortunate. Now, this is not the Deliciosa variety. It's the other one that usually tends to stay a little bit more smaller and compact. And I don't mind this version, but I find that this version definitely needs a lot more light and something to climb on if you want to get those beautiful, big, fenestrated leaves. And I have given none of that to this plant. I have definitely just let it go wild and go crazy. It's still pushing consistent growth for me, and it is overall happy, but it would be a lot more happy if I actually gave it more light and an actual support system. Right now, she is literally only attached to a arch trellis that I only recently put into her pot because the leaves or the vines were like flopping all over the place. But ideally, I would love to put this thing on either a coco coir pole or even a moss pole. Now, if you've been a part of my channel for some time now, you know that I'm not the biggest fan of moss poles. Like, I love what they do. Don't get me wrong. I see why people love moss poles. The potential you can unlock from your plants when using moss poles is huge. I can't argue that. However, I just don't like the maintenance of moss poles. I don't like the constant watering. I don't like the chop and extending. It's just my least favorite plant chore ever. However, lately I have been thinking about perhaps trying out a couple of my plants back on moss poles. Because I do have a couple of plants on moss poles currently, mainly my Burle Marx Flame and my Philodendron Esmeraldense. And the way that I am approaching moss pole care nowadays is a lot different than I used to do in the past. In the past, I was very vigilant about keeping the moss pole moist at all times. And now I'm kind of more using the moss pole as a coco coir pole, so I keep it dry most of the time. I only really water it when I either remember or when I go and shower like the entire plant. And I feel like it still does the trick. Like the plants still adhere to the moss, the aerial roots still root into the actual moss, and I still get a decent size up with my leaves. So I have been thinking about perhaps putting this Monstera on a moss pole because I know that she would be happier and that I would get just bigger and more beautiful growth. But my bigger issue with this plant is just space. I live in a small apartment, about 40 square feet, and as you can see, it's already filled with a lot of plants. So plants like Monsteras in particular that take up just so much space are sort of an issue for me. So realistically, do I even have the space for this plant to grow large? I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. So I'm either gonna put it on a moss pole and see how that's gonna do, or I might just honestly chop this plant and keep it a more smaller, bushy size. Because even at this size, I really do like this plant. And I mean, it's a Monstera. It's a Monstera albo. It's a classic. It's a classic for a reason. These were so rare back in the day, but now they're a lot more obtainable. But I feel like they still hold their market value, I suppose. And I still feel like they're just a classic plant in my collection. I mean, any Monstera is, but I feel like the albo just has a special place in my heart. And that's why I definitely want to put some more effort into this plant. And it's a plant that I really rarely talk about on my channel anymore, which again, what a shame. What a shame to own such an amazing plant and not share it with y'all. So here I am sharing this plant finally and giving you an update on how it's doing because I haven't even talked about like all the growth that I got from this plant. And as you can see, it's growing well. I just need to get my shit together and actually start taking better care of this plant. And if you have any tips on how I could style this plant or make it just fit better within my home, I would definitely appreciate all of your advice. And I wonder how you guys are feeling about like the variegated Monsteras. I mean, I know that there are so many hot and trendy variegated Monsteras out there right now, but I feel like the Albo, the Thai Constellation are just gonna be classics. And I feel like even though there are so many new varieties of variegated Monsteras, I feel like nothing will ever top the Albo. Like it's just such a amazing, beautiful plant. And it doesn't look sick like some of the new Monstera varieties. I'm looking at you, Monstera Devil Monster. Yes, I am. Anyway, this is the Monstera Albo, and I hope that by the next time you see this plant, I will have put a little bit of love and care into it. Let's talk about the plant that actually inspired this video, which is back here on my video shelf, and that is my Scindapsus exotica. Look at her. Oh my God, she is gorgeous. Holy guacamole. Now, this is a plant that I really just neglect. I water it whenever I see that the water gauge is low, and that's basically it. I don't even fertilize this plant, and it is just rewarding me with the most gorgeous, beautiful growth. I mean, I love this Scindapsus, the coloring, the pattern, it's beautiful. And it's super, super low maintenance. However, I want to talk about this plant because I feel like this plant just needs a little bit more appreciation. I feel like I really haven't been giving this plant the props that it really deserves because it's so low maintenance and it is literally a centerpiece of my video shelf. Like you can see, the video shelf without it just looks so boring and empty, but with it, it just looks so freaking gorgeous. Now, on the whole, I kind of have a love-hate relationship with Scindapsuses. This is actually the only Scindapsus left in my collection. I used to have a lot more, but I find Scindapsuses aren't difficult to grow, but they're difficult to maintain and keep nice looking because I want them to grow as trailing plants. This is what I want out of all of my Scindapsuses. But obviously, they are shingling plants in nature. So they climb up trees, they like to shingle, and this is not their natural growth pattern, right? And I'm also not giving my Scindapsuses the ideal conditions when it comes to light, humidity, and probably watering, honestly. So they tend to look a little bit leggy. And I do have the same issue with this Scindapsus as well. It does tend to get leggy. It does tend to push out long runners without a single leaf or like very large internodal spacing. So I do have to trim this plant back quite often. But the great thing about trimming back trailing plants is that they will just push out new vines from all of the growth points, which makes for a more bushy and gorgeous plant. And I just want to take a moment and appreciate this plant and tell it, I love you. I absolutely love this plant. And I want to just highlight it a little bit more. If you are struggling with Scindapsuses, I highly recommend you give the Exotica a try. This is such a common plant, and I feel like a lot of us are sleeping on common plants. I get that the hype around rare plants is exciting, and there are a lot of amazing specimens out there, but sometimes a boring, common plant can really do wonders for your plant collection. And I feel like this plant is doing wonders for my plant collection and my display. I mean, just look at the way that it's cascading on the shelf. I'm absolutely obsessed with this plant. Now, I don't have any plans to do anything crazy with this plant. I honestly just wanted to talk about this plant for a little bit and show it some love and care. Now, it does live in pond, it's living in semi-hydro, and I don't think I need to up-pot it anytime soon, so I'm just gonna leave it in that setup. It's happy, it's doing well, it's growing consistently, but maybe I could just fertilize it a little bit more. That's my goal for this plant, okay? Actually, fertilize it a lot more, okay? That's the goal. But yeah, I love her. She's so gorgeous. Now, y'all know that I absolutely love Hoyas. They are probably one of my favorite genuses. The majority of my collection is made out of Hoyas, and I have been absolutely neglecting my Hoyas. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. And a Hoya in particular that I feel like deserves just so much love is my Hoya Caudata Sumatra. Look at her. I absolutely adore this plant. Like, are you kidding me? She is so gorgeous. But as you can see, she is absolutely begging for a bigger trellis. She also absolutely needs to be repotted. Like, she is bursting out at the seams. There are so many roots in here. She's constantly drying out. And it's a plant that I really need to just sit down and take care of my Hoyas. I need to go get a lot of trellises. I need to re-trellis like the majority of my Hoyas, but this one in particular, I just want to give it more love. It deserves more love. And maybe, just maybe, if I actually put some more care into this plant, it would bloom for me, which would be stunning. It hasn't bloomed for me yet. It has given me a couple of peduncles though, so fingers crossed. But I feel like if I manage to repot it, put it on a bigger trellis, I feel like she could bloom. I have this plant currently living in my north-facing window. However, because I'm on a higher floor, that window does actually get some direct afternoon sun now that we are in summer and the sun is longer and higher in the sky. So this plant is doing really, really good in that spot and constantly growing. And I love when it gives me like funky leaves like this. Like, look at that little funky guy. It's just such a cool little accident. I think I have another one. Like, look at that. It looks like a little claw. Isn't that absolutely adorable? It is. And it's a plant that I just want to take better care of. It's a plant that I want to unlock the full potential of. But as I've mentioned, this is something that I have to do with a lot of my Hoyas. A lot of my Hoyas have been neglected. So definitely look out for a Hoya plant chores video. And also do let me know if you would like to see a updated Hoya tour. I think I did one honestly, like exactly a year ago. So I would be really keen on making a updated Hoya tour, show you all of my Hoyas and see how they're doing. See how much growth I've got, see how maybe some didn't grow at all, because I do have a couple of Hoyas that haven't grown at all. But yeah, this one is such a special Hoya. It has a special place in my heart. It's a Hoya that I wanted for such a long time. Oh, and actually, I can show you some of its peduncles. See, there's a little pedunc, but unfortunately, I don't think it's gonna give me a bloom, but oh well, all in due time. Constantly forget to water it, which is obviously not helping with the whole no bloom situation. But my goal is to get it repotted, get it retrellised, and then hopefully it will be a lot happier and hopefully I will manage to actually get some blooms. If you're looking for a really cool, easy care Hoya that has really fuzzy, robust, cardboard-like leaves, I highly recommend the Hoya Caudata Sumatra. Just make sure to take a little bit better care of her than I am currently. Okay, we have another silvery trailing plant, and that is my Cebu Blue Pothos. Another just common classic in any plant parent's collection. I absolutely love a good trailing Cebu Blue. I love a climbing Cebu Blue as well, but I want a trailing version of this plant. And I feel like I've managed to grow it pretty well. I feel like I've managed to achieve what I wanted to achieve with this plant. However, it's another one that I'm really not putting a lot of effort into. It's one that, once again, lives in pond, and I don't remember the last time that I have fertilized this plant, which is so bad. It doesn't get the best lighting condition. It lives in my bedroom, and I feel like I'm not really appreciating this plant. Now, I'm actually obsessed with Kaylee Allen's Cebu Blue Pothos. I don't know if she still has it. I haven't watched her videos as of lately, so I don't know where her collection is at, but I remember she had such a beautiful specimen trailing on her like planty wall, and that's what I wanted. I wanted a beautiful trailing specimen on my planty wall. I just wasn't able to fit this plant onto my plant shelf. It just kind of looks, I don't know, messy, I suppose. I'm constantly chopping this plant back. I'm pruning it. This is definitely one of those plants that just needs a lot of time. It needs a lot of prune backs in order to look cute, because similar to the Scindapsus exotica, this is a climbing plant in nature, so it will throw out runners, it will throw out vines with very long internal spacing, it will throw out small leaves, which just isn't cute. Growing it in pond has yielded a much better result for me than when I was growing this plant in soil. In soil, I had a really hard time keeping up with the watering requirements of this plant because it is a thirsty plant. I feel like people don't realize how thirsty pothoses or epipremnans in general are. They are very, very thirsty. And yes, they can handle some period of drought, but they're thirsty fuckers, okay? And this plant is no exception. So I feel like growing it in pond has just been the ticket to success for this plant, but I just want more out of it, I guess. I think it all boils down to a similar issue that I have with my Monstera albo, and that is that I just don't have the correct spot for this plant. I don't know if you guys saw this, but lately a lot of companies are coming up with those like cool mounted orb things that you can basically like fill with a substrate like sphagnum moss and then grow plants in that and like just put it on the wall. I think that looks really, really cool. And I think a plant like the Cebu Blue would look really neat in that setup. So maybe that's something I would consider doing with this plant. It's definitely an option. Do let me know if any of you guys have those mounted orb things and whether you like them or not. But either way, I still love this plant and I feel like I just wanted to shout it out. I just wanted to show it off because it has grown so much ever since I potted it up into pond, and it is a plant that does bring me a lot of joy. I just need to put the care and find a cute spot for this plant. But this is my Cebu Blue Pothos. And then last but certainly not least, we have my Aglaonema cutlass. Now this is a plant that has been a filler in my collection for so many years that it went from being a filler to being a staple in my collection. And now I can't imagine my collection without this plant. And this plant has gone through so much neglect. It lived in my bedroom back when I was living at my mom's, and those bedroom plants were neglected. This thing got such minimal light, barely any water. I don't remember the last time I repotted it. I don't remember the last time that I dusted this plant. And now it's living in my bedroom again, but it's receiving a little bit more love. It's getting a little bit more light. I actually remember to water it and I still don't dust it. It's still dusty as hell, but hey, you know, we can't win on all fronts, okay? Baby steps. But it is a really cool plant, and I really, really do love this plant, and it's a plant that I can't imagine not having anymore, and I really love my pot plant combo with this plant. I think it just looks so freaking neat. And this plant has actually grown quite a lot ever since moving into this apartment, which lets me know that it is happy. However, I feel like I could just be taking a little bit of better care of this plant. Like, again, it's currently bone dry. I could definitely fertilize this plant a lot more, give it a couple of showers, maybe give it more light. But that's the thing that I love about Aglaonemas in general. They're just so chill. They're so easy care. They're so low maintenance, they're so rewarding, and I know that if I leave for a trip or if I'm having a bad mental health period, this plant and Aglaonemas in general are gonna be there. They're gonna be fine, they're not gonna decline, they're not gonna cause me any drama or grief, and that is the type of plant that I want to appreciate more. Those are the types of plants that I want in my collection. For example, in these last 2 weeks of me going through the dental surgery recovery, me being sick, I just didn't have any energy to be taking care of my plants. And some of the plants definitely suffered. Like my Alocasia frydek, I had to chop back severely because she was just infested with spider mites. I also had to chop back my Maranta lemon lime. I'm actually restarting that plant because that one was just infested with spider mites. And don't get me wrong, I love those plants. However, this plant gave me no grief. And I knew that it wasn't gonna give me any grief, so I wasn't stressed out about, oh, what's gonna happen to my Aglaonema cutlass, like I was with my Frydek or my Maranta. And it's plants like this that are truly a staple in my collection, and plants like this that I can recommend to anybody. Be it a beginner, be it a professional, I feel like this plant, in particular, this Aglaonema cutlass, it's an easy care plant that is also beautiful. Like the foliage is just so stunning. And again, I feel like with the rise of rare plants and with so many different plants hitting the market constantly, I feel like we forget to appreciate some of the OG plants. Like this type of coloring, this type of patterning, it's so unique. Every leaf is special, and it's really wonderful to see what Mother Nature is capable of doing. Although I have been collecting plants for over 4 years now, I'm still blown away by the beauty that nature is able to create out of nothing, really. So plants like this, I just want to appreciate a little bit more. Anyway, those were some of the plants that I wanted to shout out today, that I wanted to showcase, that I wanted to kind of just put a spotlight on, because I feel like they deserve a little bit more love, and plants that I really don't talk about for one reason or another. And I really hope that by talking about these plants, I'm actually gonna feel a little bit more motivated to actually provide them with better care. And I hope that this also motivated you to take care of your plants and maybe just look at your collection and see which plants you are perhaps not appreciating enough. I do hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more videos. It really helps me out a lot. I hope you have a super amazing, fabulous, gorgeous day, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye!